Welcome to Meadowvale. I'm Meeka Nomicon, and it's time to follow the Little Red Ranger. Welcome to Meadowvale. Or at least, that's what I'd like to tell you. But Meadowvale hasn't been so welcoming as of late. My name is Clover. I'm a park ranger for the town. That means anything outside Sablewoods is usually not my business. The last few weeks have made everything my business. You see, folks have been disappearing. Innocent folks too, like Coda, a local lumberjack with the gruffest face but a heart of gold. Once, he brought me a small wounded bird and asked how to help it. I've never forgotten how proud he looked the day it flew again. We're not sure when or where Coda disappeared, only that he never came home again. The next who went missing was on the edge of town, right out of her very own library. Calliope was sweet, immeasurably kind, and so knowledgeable that sometimes her understanding of Sablewoods surpassed my own. The worst you could say about her was that she was shy and, well, maybe a little clumsy. Maybe. I used to get all my wildlife glossaries from Callie. The library has been shuttered ever since Mayor Gizmo and the local peacekeepers found a rear-facing window shattered from the outside in. I miss her. The last to disappear was our local artist, a young man by the name of Leander. Leander was almost as shy as Callie, right up until he got his next big idea. I don't know where his latest creative burst took him, but he'd never been gone from home more than 2 days before this. It's strange, walking through the town square and finding it empty. He always liked to paint there. I've trusted the local peacekeepers so far to investigate this string of disappearances, but nobody's come up with anything yet. Mayor Gizmo has asked me to meet with him today to discuss the missing folks, presumably to help solve the case. Would it be pessimistic of me to say? They are most likely dead. Feels bad, even the gruffest of lumberjacks. But I just hope I know what I'm getting into. I arrive at the town gate without issue. For a few moments, it is painfully empty, devoid of both townsfolk and Mayor Gizmo himself. It's hard to keep the lonely landscape from getting to me. Meadowvale used to be a bustling town, but now, everyone is too scared to come out of their homes. You know, I'm not entirely sure how well that's going to help anyone. I mean, let's face it, Callie did get kidnapped from inside of her library. Staying indoors may not actually save you guys. Clover! Just the rabbit I was looking for. The mayor runs up to me, chest heaving with each panting breath by the time he arrives. I give him a few moments to recover. You wanted to see me, Mayor? What can I help with? Yes, we can dispense with the formalities. Mayor Gizmo gives a wry chuckle that makes my skin itch. Well, you and I, that is, know that something is wrong, don't we? Well, people have been disappearing. That feels a smidge wrong to me. The mayor tugs on one of his ears with a nervous expression. Do you mean the disappearances? The mayor gives the same chuckle as before. I tuck my paws into my jacket pockets. Why, yes, of course. What else would there be to talk about? What are you hiding, Gizmo? I'm starting not to trust you at all. His odd chuckle turns into an outright bark of nervous laughter, though he recovers himself quickly. My peacekeepers, you see. They haven't been able to find anything. I thought, maybe, what with the latest, you could look. I tilt my head to one side, my long ears flopping along with the motion. What with the latest? What do you mean, Maya? Wait, hold on. Has someone else been kidnapped by the time I was away contemplating? Well, you see, Mayor Gizmo clears his throat and straightens his posture as if trying to compose himself before continuing. It's a bit of an unusual circumstance, even considering. Not only do we have a location for the last disappearance, we also have a witness. Wait, hold on. Is this for Leander? I thought we were certain we didn't know where he disappeared from. Wait, so where was the victim seen last? Mayor Gizmo shrugs uncomfortably, his eyes looking anywhere but at me. In your woods, Clover. In Sablewoods, near the old mine. That close? And I didn't know. Yes, well, perhaps you could investigate there. For me, we need answers, Clover. Yes, of course. Where can I find the witness? Where can I find the person who saw the last disappearance? Bjorn? Well, he's probably out by the pier this time of day. You know where that is, don't you? Can you remind me? South of Meadowvale, right on the edge of the lake. Is that all your questions then? For now, Mayor. I'll come back here if I find anything. Right, well, there's one more thing I should, Mayor Gizmo thrusts something towards me. Here. Is that a knife? Yes, for protection, just in case you need it. You know what? I respect the fact you're giving me weapon, mate. I'm gonna take the knife. Be safe. Can't have anyone else going missing after all. Maybe I misjudged you, Gizmo. Maybe you're just a nervous fellow. I was starting to think this was a conspiracy and you were gonna be in on it, buddy. Right. You can expect me back with a report by tomorrow morning. The mayor puffs up in front of me. He looks like he's trying to seem confident. Then I shall look forward to that. His lack of confidence weighs on me. Where should I head first? I reckon let's head to the south of Meadowvale, so then hopefully we can start to get an understanding of the situation before we head to the mine. I made my way to the south of town, where a large lake takes up a significant chunk of the horizon. At the end of the lake path is a massive dock and pier, though it, like town, is empty of the usual activity. It takes a few minutes for me to spot old Bjorn. Despite his massive hulking size, the bear sits at the end of the long pier, a fishing pole between his paws. I call out to him without thinking. Aww, he seems so adorable. I want to give him a cuddle. Bjorn, may I speak to you? What the? There's a crack as Bjorn's fishing line, which apparently had a bite still wriggling on it, snaps in half. Bjorn gives a quiet curse and sets his rod aside before he turns to me with a heavy sigh. To my surprise, he then smiles. Clover the Ranger, what can I do for you? Bjorn pats the space beside him on the pier, so I join him, dipping my bare foot paws into the water. He joins me, and soon we have a small fish nibbling at our toes. For a few moments, it's easy to forget everything else going on. For a few moments, it's just me, Bjorn, and some cute little fish. Then, the moments pass. Mayor Gizmo informed me that you saw the latest disappearance happen. Bjorn shudders and pulls his feet back out of the water, his gaze drifting off in the direction of Sablewoods. That I did, Clover. That I did. It's not an experience I'd like to relive. I'm afraid I'm gonna have to force you to, buddy. I need to know the details. I understand, Bjorn. I pat his paw reassuringly. You know I wouldn't ask this of you if there was any other option, but you need to know what I saw. Please. Bjorn gives a heavy sigh, bowing his head. Suppose it's only right, after what happened to those poor folks. I saw a huge monster with claws the size of kitchen knives and glowing white eyes. It dragged them off, kicking and screaming. There was nothing I could do. Nothing anyone could do. Bjorn stares off across the lake, scent clearly burdening him still. It does seem like you have more to say, buddy. I mean, I can't exactly say I don't think it's all doom and gloom. I mean, potentially 3 residents are murdered. I can't basically make light to it. I'm gonna say, it seems like you have more to say. You know that I'm here to listen, right? Alright, I'll tell you. Bjorn turns back towards me, still frowning, but now with a twinkle in his eye that I can't quite place. My pappy used to tell me stories. Stories young folk don't like to hear anymore, even though they're important stories. I frown for a moment, but press on. Sure, this has something to do with the case at hand. Oh, is it going to be like some kind of folk tale about monsters and like reasons you need to stay out the mines? So essentially it's just passing down the story and the warnings from past events, just made like dressed up as fiction. Yeah, those would be important stories to keep telling. What kind of stories did he tell you? Stories about the woods. Stories about the land we live on. Stories of what came before. Bjorn turns to me, a very serious expression on his face. You know, we animals haven't always been rulers of the world. Right, Ranger? I find myself entranced by his intensity. Of course. We don't know what came before, though. You may not know, but I do. Pappy did too. I don't respond this time, hoping my silence would encourage him more than my confusion. He must be getting at something important. I can feel it. Bjorn turns away and hoofs. Just imagine if the people that came before would actually be the humans, and so there's still relics of them living in the mines, and they've essentially become Wendigos. I would love that. I mean, it's bad news for you guys, but for me it'd be great. Before the animals were the spirits. Spirits of all things, of the wind, and the trees, and the grass, and the waves. Used to be there was a spirit of the woods, living right over there, in your Sable Woods. Was? Some say still is. The thing to know about spirits, though, is they were buried as animal folk are, and that one was no soft cookie. Bjorn, you don't really mean to tell me a spirit lives in Sable Woods, do you? You don't really think that's the cause of the disappearances? Bjorn doesn't look at me for a moment, but digs around in his jacket pocket instead. After several tense seconds, he pulls out a small folded piece of paper, bound in a strip of twine. From the twine hangs a charm that looks something like wind, maybe? If you get in a tight spot, look at that paper. Think of something special to you, special as Pappy's charm is to me, and ask the spirits for their help. It might just be what saves you. I pocket the paper, charm and all. Oh, it's probably a very good job I came to see you first then. I imagine if I'd gone straight to the mine, I'd be put in danger without the charm. Bjorn has taken to looking out at the lake again. He doesn't move as I stand up to leave. Be safe, little Clover. If not for you, and for all we've lost, be safe. I will, Bjorn. Time to see where it all happened. To the southwest of Meadowvale, just a little ways past my own home, lies a massive patch of trees. The one and only Sable Woods. It doesn't take me long to track down the site of the latest disappearance, the mine entrance. So I'm guessing that disappearance really must be Leander then, right? Since it's not been mentioned that there's been a new disappearance. It feels cold, even for the time of year, but just here in the clearing. My breath comes out as a thick fog, which I try to wave away. I begin to chitter quietly, involuntarily, and wring my paws together. Maybe Bjorn was onto something. There's something not quite right about this place. Well, it's a good job we accepted that knife for now, isn't it? Then again, I'm not entirely sure how a knife is going to fare against a spirit. They tend not to be very corporal. There are clear signs that something happened here, recently. Judging by the claw marks on that tree, and the footprints over there. Where to start? I say, the claw marks. These claw marks are huge. They almost look like cuts from an axe, but they're far too rough. I hope whatever made them isn't still around. What about the footprints? There are footprints around. Some of them are normal, but the others are big. There seems to be a path of drag marks in the dirt that leads into the mine, and blood? That can't be right. I shudder at the sight and glance around. The sky darkens a tick as the sun droops further below the horizon. I've gathered what information I can. There's only one place left to look. Time to check out the mine itself. Do we have any source of light? Maybe a bit problematic if we don't. The drag marks carry on briefly into the darkness of the cave, and I withdraw a flashlight from my jacket pocket as I enter. It clicks on to reveal a dark, red-brown trail on the floor. My ears flatten out against my head, but I shake off the feeling and carry on. The distant hum of the wilderness fades and is overtaken by my own echoing footfalls, and I can feel its absence weighing heavily on my shoulders. Why are we going alone again? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm curious, but, why did we not bring the peacekeepers with us? There are more claw marks up ahead, leading around a bend in the path of the cave. Unused mining equipment lies scattered to and fro, mostly lanterns with shattered bulbs and picks with broken handles. There is an odd lack of cobwebs and dust though, as if the mine is well trodden. I reach the corner and place a shaking paw gently on the claw marks, then peek around and into the darkness. There is a shape in the shadows that seems to defy the light of my weak flashlight, seems to ward it off. The shape is breathing. Well, calling out to a shadowy figure never ends well for anyone. I say we do the, clearly sensible thing and creep up on the shadowy figure. We have got the knife after all. I put a hand over the flashlight, dimming it with enough to hide myself, and I take a few careful steps closer to the beast. I can see it rising and falling now, the slight sheen of its fur. As I ponder what it could be, something crackles noisily beneath my feet. I don't glance down at it, but I can see the bones scattered throughout the space. Okay, maybe creeping a bit wasn't a smart idea if we're gonna be so noisy about it. The creature suddenly rises and whips around. It's a huge thing, a mass of mangy black fur with glowing white eyes and claws the size of kitchen knives. Oh! I think the wolf has got rabies. You're not looking so good, buddy. You seem to be bleeding from the eyes. I don't know how well my knife is going to hold up against this thing. It rushes towards me like a spear of snarling, filthy obsidian, covering what ground stood between us in the blink of an eye. Okay, hiding's not exactly going to help since it can clearly see me. I could try and dodge, but let's face it, I brought the knife to fight. I pull the knife from my pocket and flick it open, flailing wildly through the darkness. I feel it connect a few times with the knife, though, in its wild attacks, it seems to do most of the damage itself. It catches me once with a sweep of its claws, and I dart away. By the time I turn around, the beast is licking its wounds and preparing to strike again. Oh, what happened to my... I wanted to attack again. I almost had it on the defensive. Okay, again, I don't think hiding is going to help. It clearly sees us. So dodge it. I dart away, leading with my shoulder as a few ivory talons pass through the space above me. My foot lands on a collection of dry, crackling bones, and I stumble into a wall. Okay, maybe dodging was not the best idea. The beast readies another attack. Well, when all else fails, hide. I point the flashlight directly into the creature's eyes, and then abruptly shut it off. See, if I knew you were going to be smart about it and blind it first, I would have told you to hide straight away. I move through the darkness by memory until a discarded barrel stands between me and where I last saw the monster. The barrel shatters behind me, torn apart by the force of a single blow. I dive away and turn the flashlight back on as the beast prepares for another attack. In all the commotion, the movement, the tussle, I find myself backing into a corner. The monster walks a half circle around me, glaring furiously with its gleaming eyes and its jaws dripping. It scrapes the ground with its claws and growls, but the movement of its leg is weak and its growl poorly conceals a whimper. Now is my chance, and possibly my only one. I mean, I could pull out Bjorn's charm or speak to the spirit, both of the logical things to do. But no, I have weakened it, so I shall use the pocket knife. I'm going to die here, aren't I? The beast suddenly charges towards me, and my hand flies to my pocket on reaction. I withdraw the pocket knife in a flash and unfold its blade once again. Even in the dimness, I catch the sheen on its soiled surface. In the light of my flashlight, dashing through the air, this way and that. The beast is weakened, it is slowed, and the grace and ferocity it had demonstrated earlier are gone. My heart aches as it growls, reduced to whimpers and whines, cut fur and thick blood sticking to my hand and arm as the melee goes on. It lunges for a final blow, jaw wide and eyes fading, but it never lands. Hell yeah! I'm a better fighter than I thought I was. The creature slumps against me instead, knocking my battered form to the ground in a heap, sending my ill-suited weapon clattering to the floor. It's done. The ground is cold, my body is spent, and my mind fragments and spirals off. But it's done. End. Execution. I called it though. You know what I'm curious about? If we don't take the knife at all, do you reckon we'll just get murdered very quickly? Since we did go through all 3 stages of trying to escape that monster. Let's try. Well, suppose that's understandable. Coming from a ranger. Be safe. Can't have anyone else going missing after all. Right. You can expect me back with a report by tomorrow morning. Oh, that's a thought as well. If we just don't go to the piers, then we won't even have the charm or know about the spirits. So no knife and no logic. Yeah, we're definitely gonna get murdered straight away. Oh, never mind. It forces me to go to the pier anyway. Bjorn might know more about what happened, and I don't want to go in unprepared. Okay, so I might not have been able to avoid going to the pier, but we could avoid learning the truth if we just basically dismiss what you're saying. I don't think it's all dim and gloom. Whatever's going on, I'll get to the bottom of it. Don't say you weren't warned. There are things out there that folks like us can barely fathom. Stay safe. Bjorn waves me off half-heartedly and turns away again. I will, Bjorn. He knows I'm gonna die, doesn't he? Back to where it all happened. Alright, call out to the shadowy figure. I point my flashlight towards the floor in order to avoid blinding. Whatever this thing is. The light bounces off a collection of bright, ivory white objects scattered on the floor of the space. I try not to stare at them for long. Hello? Are you okay? Are you from Meadowvale? The creature suddenly rises and whips around. It's a huge thing, a mass of mangy black fur with glowing bright eyes and claws the size of kitchen knives. It rushes towards me like a spear of snarling, filthy obsidian, covering what ground stood between us in the blink of an eye. I mean, I could try and fight, but I have no weapon. I drop to the ground in frantic search of a weapon. I grab a loose stone out of desperation and hurl it towards the monster. Somehow, it makes contact and the beast twists its head away, howling and pawing at the affected area. Before it can draw up another, however, it is preparing to charge me again. Hide! I point the flashlight directly into the creature's eyes and then abruptly shut it off. I move through the darkness by memory till a discarded barrel stands between me and where I last saw the monster. The barrel shatters behind me, torn apart by the force of a single blow. I dive away and turn the flashlight back on as the beast prepares another attack. Oh, time to dodge! I dart away, landing with my shoulder as a few ivory talons pass through the space above me. My foot lands on a collection of dry, crackling bones, and I stumble into a wall. The beast readies another attack. In all the commotion, the movement, the tussle, I find myself backing into a corner. The monster walks a half circle around me, glaring furiously with its gleaming eyes, its jaws dripping. It scrapes the ground with its claws and growls, but the movement of its leg is weak, and its growl poorly conceals a whimper. Now is my chance, and possibly my only one. I mean, am I able to defend myself? Because I have no weapon this time, really, other than a stone. The beast suddenly charges towards me, and I lunge to the ground in reaction. I take hold of a loose rock and raise it in front of myself, but the creature dashes it away easily and sends me stumbling to the ground. My head makes solid contact with something. A wooden support, or a barrel, or a minecart. I don't have time to know what, and my ears ring. This is definitely where I die. Even as I twist around to face the threat again, its sharpened claws dig into me and hurl me across the floor in a single impact. My discarded flashlight casts a dusty beam through the air from somewhere nearby, even as I stare at the ceiling, even as my head aches, even as my vision fades. I try to raise my arm again to defend myself, but my shoulder crackles and a white-hot spear of pain drives itself into my collarbone. I close my eyes. The ground gently thuds as the creature walks towards me. I can feel its breath on my face, stinking of iron and flesh. It's over. The ground is cold, my body is spent, and my mind fragments and spirals off. And it's over. End. Demise. I join everyone in death. Okay, I say, how about this time we just try and speak to the spirits? Before the beast can charge at me, I raise my hand. It stops in place and stares at me, and I put on a brave face. Though it feels as though my heart wants to hop out of my chest and go for a run. Are you okay? Are you sure you want to do this? The creature stares at me. Its glowing eyes seem to pulse. It cocks its head to the side. In so many years, the first to speak to me as an equal. Its mouth is motionless. The voice seems to call out from everywhere and nowhere at once, echoing and circling around me. What a delight! Tell me, do you wish to end my reign of terror in your little town? Its tone is cloying and Cheshire, maybe a little impatient. Eventually, I nod uneasily. Yes, I would very much like that. The creature turns up its snout, and its eyes gleam. Wonderful. It's really very simple. You will take on my lot, and I will be free to pass on. The casualness of the creature's words leave my neck hairs on end, and I fight hard to keep my chittering to a minimum. What do you mean by your lot? And what do you mean by pass on? The creature paces in place, and a low cackle seems to echo from the floor. I'll answer you quickly, but then you must choose. For the first, you shall become like I am. You shall live in the darkness, and hunger for the blood of your kind. I stare in mild shock, waiting for it to continue. As for passing on, I am forced to live this way forever, and once you've taken my burden on, I will be granted the mercy of death. It's not exactly a win-win, more of a win-lose neutral sort of situation. So, your decision. I reckon if I decline, I'm just gonna get eaten again, right? We must accept. I mean, let's face it, I'm at least gonna be less dangerous than the wolf is. I put on the bravest face I can, though it feels lacking, and extend a paw to the beast wordlessly. End. Contract. Wait, I want to know how many we eat ourselves. Yeah, declining just gets us eaten again. So instead, let's pull out Bjorn's charm. The beast suddenly charges towards me, and my hand flies to my pocket on reaction. I reach in and withdraw Bjorn's charm and a slip of paper that carries it, raising it up like a shield towards the monster now bearing down upon me. It freezes in place, stock still, waiting. My heart is thumping wildly in my chest, but my breathing is still somehow under control. I unfold the sheet of paper and stare down at it. It's blank. I stare at it for a moment, dumbfounded and desperate. Then the charm begins to glow. First like a star, then the moon, then the sun, brighter and brighter, until there's nothing to see besides the light. Well, I mean, that's one way to save my life, if I just blind both of us. I can hear distant sounds and feel distant auras, separated from me by time and by space, but not memory. I hear an axe chopping firewood in the crisp autumn air. I can hear a rough brush on canvas and quiet, contemplative noises. I can hear shifting paper and feel the warmth of a hand on my own. I can hear the whimpering of a quiet, lonely creature. Its stomach is empty, and its wounds go untended, and the seasons wrap it up in moisture and mud. It's a fade. I reach out a hand and everything fades. Curled in a shivering heap before me is a small wolf pup. Aww. You're my child now. I shall protect you, even if you're still highly murderous. Its fur is matted, and its eyes closed in fear. The air around me is still bright, with the white energy from before, whirling around as it dissipates. Before it fades entirely, a voice that seems to call out from everywhere and nowhere at once, echoing and circling around me, whispers, "Thank you." I look around, unsure of the exact source of the noise. The whimpering of the pup pulls my attention to it, and I take a small step over. It looks up at me, pulling its ears back and recoiling. There, little one," I coo, kneeling down and gently extending a paw to it. The pup sniffs at it hesitantly for a moment before it begins to lick at my paw. I chuckle and then scoop the massive fur up, wrapping it in my arms. "I don't think I know even half of what you went through. I think I speak for all of Meadowvale when I say I'm happy to give you a second chance." Well, maybe just don't tell the people of Meadowvale who this really is. They may not be quite so understanding. End. Purification. Well, I have a child now. Let's just hope it doesn't grow up to be cursed again. That would be a mighty shame. If you enjoyed your time, I'd greatly appreciate you to like this video and subscribe to this channel. But for now, you're spooky day, and I'll catch you next time, guys.